prioritizing the very strong tri-lane heroes because they're worried about losing tri-lanes, losing their early lanes, and then basically just losing the game from that advantage. So those are the best heroes for it. Gyros is probably the best tri-lane carry right now just because Rocket Barrage is a 300 damage nuke with 1 skill point, and he's a ranged hero. His mobility is really high with his good movement speed, and Visage as well is just a really good support range, lots of nuke damage every 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And then Brood and Tiny are a bit more of a expectation picks, what they expect the enemy team to deal with or use, but they don't want to have to deal with. So.
Well, we talked about Wisp making it through, and LGD did have the option, but they opt for the first pick Beastmaster. I feel like we've seen actually a lot of first pick Beastmaster this tournament.
Yeah, he got buffed a little bit. He got some more base damage. The more focus on the early mid game, and of course, vision in general seems to be really important. And
10 seconds.
And obviously the boars. He's just been buffed multiple times over the last couple of patches, and ultimately when other heroes get nerfed and the game shifts a little bit, he's in a pretty good spot right now. So
I feel like he's in that sweet spot of a very strong hero, but not quite scary enough to really be first ban material. Yeah. So he's often in this early pickup phase. Vici probably considering the Wisp here, and yep, there it is. They decide for it. Now, what do they want to pair with it?
So Tiny's gone. Chaos Knight's possibility, but maybe a bit more random. It doesn't have to be a typical Wisp carrier. It could be just old Bristlebacks, maybe an option.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's so many good melee semi carries or carries that work with Wisp that we don't see very often.
Yeah.
So it could really be a ton of different stuff. But they do have to be aware of the Beastmaster, so maybe they should pick based on that. Something that isn't as locked down by that is a possibility. I'm not really sure what that would be. I mean, stuns are good against everything, but
well, if you're a Bristleback and you have your back towards him, you can actually fight while taking damage.
That's
at
great.
least
Point.
do something. But I can't remember. Apart from Rave's game against Vici Gaming, I can't remember Bristleback losing a game this tournament. I think he's just been rolling. Secret played it with Chen. Secret played it with Wisp. Both games complete stomps.
Yeah.
Last night. It was LGD that played Bristle against IG in game 1, rolled them over as well. I think it's just a really strong pick right now. And
there it is. Well, a tried and true duo for sure.
Will they offlane it? Maybe we'll see Bristle mid again. And maybe that's more of a gimmick thing because they kind of gimmicked it to get a bunch of kills on the Shadow Fiend with a bit of a jungle pull. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so versatile. You could even offlane it if you have a really strong dual lane for the safe lane. Lots of flexibility here. So LGD, what have they been prioritizing? I mean, Chen's still in the pool, Queen of Pain, popular picks on this patch that are still available.
10 seconds remaining.
I mean, what counters the hero truly? Break is good against it because it removes Bristleback, but that's usually not something you can build towards because you're talking like Shadow Demon ult or a Silver Edge, which is very far into the game. So
where does LGD usually put their Beastmaster? Are they a solo mid kind of team or an off lane?
I'm not sure, actually. Have they played Beastmaster yet?
I'm trying to think of maybe playing Beastmaster, and that doesn't seem like a classic maybe hero to me.
He needs more semi-carry, because...
Yeah. I think it's a Yao hero.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
So they could still grab something like a Dragon Knight.
They played Ember last night.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually pretty good against Bristleback. Very mobile, doesn't get locked down too much by the goo.
Takes a little too much physical damage, though.
Yeah, Ember is just a special hero design because ideally what you want to happen is that your Flame Guard blocks as much magical damage as possible without breaking.
Yeah.
So if the enemy lineup has a lot of physical, that can be good and it can be bad.
Yeah.
It's good for, in the sense that your Flame Guard doesn't break, but it's bad in the sense that it bypasses the Flame Guard. So they probably wait a little bit until Vici Gaming's lineup develops a bit more, and then if they see an opening for it, I think it's definitely a choice they could go for. However, yesterday they played it with Darkseer, and if they want to do that, then the Beastmaster has to either be played support or mid, and then they would safe lane the Ember, which I think is not really what they want to do.
Well, there's the Queen of Pain, a pretty classic mid choice here for maybe.
Yeah, she's a hero that doesn't have to worry about Bristleback too much. If she blinks in, she's in trouble because Bristle does so much physical right click, but if he goes on her, she can usually get away, unless she's also like super slowed and he can catch up. But that's definitely a real possibility with the Wisp. When you have high mobility and you're slowing opponents a little bit, blink sometimes isn't enough.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what do Vici still have at their disposal? Shadow Fiend still in the pool, something Super could consider. Nice synergy with the Bristleback. Dragon Knight will be the third ban for LGD.
For some reason, I thought you were saying Shadow Fiend versus Bristle, and I just got flashbacks to that.
No, with the Bristle. I want to see him kill Roche.
Game where they just killed him repeatedly. Yeah, it's definitely very good against Roche. Bristleback's great against it as well. Breaks the Lincoln's armor stack, minus armor stack. I don't know if I would want to Shadow Fiend versus Quap this game, though.
Reserve time.
Might be a little tough.
They could safe lane the SF and run Wisp Bristle mid, but
Would you say Beast is good against Shadow Fiend as well? I mean, if you catch him before BKB, it's really good, but
It's okay. It can work.
I think it's probably better if they just grab neutral picks right now, like grab their other support, and they don't have to worry about grabbing their cores, maybe force LGD to have static lanes, and then they can outpick around that.
Okay.
Might be a smarter game plan here.
they're going to ban Night Stalker.
I think Vici ban out the Witch Doctor here. A lot of supports.
I think they ban Rubik, maybe. Both games yesterday that LGD won against IG, they first two picked Rubik Lina. So it's actually really cool to see that they're just completely changing up their strategy instead of playing the same stuff all the time, because then they're probably gonna... Then Vici would be prepared. They do their homework, and they're really good at dealing with foreseeable strats. So I still think the Rubik ban could make sense. I don't know if, come to think of it, maybe it's actually not that big of a threat for them. I'm more interested to see what Vici wants to pick, because what was it I was thinking a moment ago? Now I lost it. I had an idea.
You were going to say Shadow Fiend. You were going to agree with me wholeheartedly, Synd.
Damn, what was it? Alright, it's gone.
All right,
It's
well,
completely
we'll
gone.
just move past it.
What about like?
Oh, they
Aura?
banned the Lina.
They did.
so
What about like
similar
Aura
thought
heroes?
process.
Because they've got Beastmaster Aura already. Surely they're gonna, especially if it's the first pick. Surely they have something planned around this. Like they're gonna grab some kind of physical carry. And I'd even be slightly worried if I was Vici here about this, because like maybe they're not gonna grab a support Venge or something. Maybe they'll do like a bursty semi carry that benefits from the attack speed, but Leshrac is a hero that's pretty weak to physical damage and a little bit of minus armor over the course of the game, because he'll buy things like Bloodstone and maybe an Octarine Core, but those give you HP, but they don't give you tankiness from physical damage, really.
Right.
So if you go for a physical damage carry and you have a Beastmaster, it gets a little scary. It doesn't beat Bristleback, though, and that's the problem.
I think what we've seen quite a lot from Leshracs this patch. Well, I'm saying quite a lot this patch, which is kind of doesn't make sense, I guess, but this patch hasn't been there so long. But what I
Relative to
remember,
the patch.
yeah, what I remember most Leshracs doing is that they get Bloodstone first, and then second or third is a Shiva's Guard, I think, to address that exact problem. And then the
That's a good
Octarine is a
idea.
luxury, like fourth or
Then you
fifth
get it later.
item.
Okay.
It's really good to have against Witch Doctor too. Armor is going to become crucial for Vici Gaming. I'm looking along the lines of maybe getting a Solar Crest on the Bristleback as an option,
This
or
is
as
like
a support.
screaming Vlad's on Wisp to
Vlad's
me this
on
game.
Wisp would be nice too, or of course the mech for the armor as well. There's quite a lot of flexibility, and interesting to see them get the Shadow Demon, because Shadow Demon IO is not really your classic support duo, but obviously
good
aiming
draft.
to lane him with the Lesh, and that's an awful lane for Beastmasters to play up against.
Yeah, so Leshrac farming safe probably with Shadow Demon support. They could do, well, they probably won't do a tri-lane, obviously, because the Wisp will be with the Bristleback. Undying is a good way to deal with that, I think. Both Lesh and Shadow Demon have pretty low armor. Their mobility, at least Shadow Demon's mobility, is pretty low, so they're definitely going to have to be worried about Tombstone. By the time you do a Disruption and another stun follow-up, you should have zombie build-up, assuming the Tomb is down first. So
Yeah.
maybe they could beat that dual lane. It's definitely a possibility, because they know it's only a dual lane, right? I guess Wisp could stay in the tri-lane, but he doesn't really synergize very well with Leshrac at all.
Well, I mean, he synergizes a little bit. Movement speed's great on Lesh. You can get right up in your face with the Edict and the Ultimate.
That's
Chase
but
people down,
We're
give 'em the
talking like
regen.
in the tri-lane, though. Like
the
in
tri-lane,
the late
yeah.
game, yeah, but in the early tri-lane, he probably won't have that many Diabolic Edicts, because you've got creeps in the way.
Well,
and
still
stuff.
just the regen. I mean, doesn't it allow Lesh to just be a little bit more aggressive in general?
Yeah,
That's
it
kind of
does.
what he wants to do.
I'm just a little unsure if. I think the Vici Gaming tri-lane's better no matter what, though, because it is still like 3 support heroes, kind of. Like Lesh has support kind of abilities, but he can be played as a core.
Yeah.
So either way, I think the Vici tri-lane will be pretty strong here. I don't know if LGD is going to want to challenge it, but they might want to, because then that would prevent the Wisp from being able to just combo with the Bristle, because I don't think Lesh Shadow Demon can beat a tri-lane. They can farm, I guess, and not die most likely. They've got that going for them.
The Undying pick doesn't make much sense if they're not trying to win a lane with it, I think, in this game. So I'm expecting LGD to run Witch Doctor and Undying together on a lane. The question is if that's the lane, so it's a core Undying on that lane, or if there's a third hero in it that goes challenging against Vici Gaming. Because the problem for LGD is if they don't manage to win the laning stage, they're going to be stuck with an Undying in the mid game, and then their key initiation hero, Beastmaster, we didn't even mention yet, countered very nicely by Shadow Demon, right?
Yeah.
So how do you initiate a fight in the mid game as LGD if you cannot lock down with your most reliable lockdown onto the Bristle, like the Bristle is actually just going to run rampant, it looks like, in this game so far. They don't have single target physical damage to deal with him. The Undying will eventually fall off quite hard.
Unless you get like a good cask bounce, you're just in a lot of trouble. Because they're going to be so fast. They at least can jump in and blow up the Wisp pretty quick, I think. With Queen of Pain, Beast is pretty good burst, and especially if Witch Doctor's there, but it's a Invoker. So I guess they are going to do aggressive try. Maybe Shadow Demon Bristle Wisp with a mid Lesh and a safe Invoker. Is that what it's looking like for you?
I think so.
They do 2-on-2 unless if LGD runs a tri-lane, and then I think they just leave the Bristle solo top against Beast. I think Bristle wins that lane, or at least draws. And then you play Shadow Demon, Lishrak, Wisp safe lane, and Invoker mid. Seems like the safer choice to me. It's very important for Vici Gaming's draft that the Shrek gets to farm, because this hero is really kind of snowbally and very farm dependent, and if he has a bad start on a core position, he actually just gets run over most of the time. So.
And Morphling, the final choice for LGD.
Okay.
Change of pace there.
I like the Morph. It's a good tri-lane carry. You'll have Waveform plus Witch Doctor plus Undying, so...
Classic Sylar hero.
But they're going to have to deal with Disruption, Stun, Sunstrike. So there's a lot of damage coming out of Vici Gaming in the early game. I think the lane setups are going to be pretty important here. Do you think either team wants to dodge the tri-lane, or do you think they're just going to rumble it out?
I think if LGD wanted to dodge the tri-lane...
They wouldn't have picked Undying, but...
Well, then Morphling actually kind of makes sense, because he's not that good in tri-lanes.
But he's pretty good, I feel.
He's okay. He's mobile. He can be kind of bursty.
Yeah.
He can morph through stuns, kind of.
The tricky part of an aggressive tri-lane Morphling here is that you're playing a lane that has Witch Doctor as your only real long-range hero. Then you have a melee Undying and a short-range Morph, and you would be running that into Wisp, who's long-range, Leshrac, who's long-range, and Shadow Demon, who's long-range. Like, the harassment war is easily going to be won by Vici in that case, and they even have Tether to just heal up with. And then if you make any mistake in that lane and you die, you actually can't come back. You'll just get bullied out of lane constantly.
So maybe they need to do the safe tri-lane and then force them to do their 2-1-2 lineup, perhaps?
It's possible. I'm actually really surprised they picked Morphling. Not because it's a bad hero or because they don't have a good player for it, because they definitely do on Sylar, and Morphling is getting better, it seems like, almost every patch. But I don't really see how that hero does very well against Bristle until it's very farmed, right? You need, for Morphling to start hitting hard, you need like either the E-Blade build, which takes time to build up, or you need to go like minute 40 plus when he starts hitting really, really hard in single target. And then you're also picking into Shadow Demon, who's like one of the absolute best supports in the game against Morphling. He morphs everything into agility, makes his illusions extremely powerful when you disrupt, because it's based on base stats. And I don't know. We're going to see if LGD can get away with it here. This lane, if they run an aggressive tri-lane, this lane can't lose, else this is a 20-minute game.
All right, looks like Vici thinking about a 2-1-2 here. Initial wards will come down, they'll block the pole camp, and Radiant will get some vision of the rune, and it looks like that entryway into the jungle. Interesting stat that popped up just a moment ago about how much these teams have squared off, and a very even spread. It's 9-7 since DAC, so top-tier Chinese teams constantly taking games off each other. Could be a good series.
A 1 start for the Quap. Interesting. I guess he's expecting Leshrac or
maybe the Bristle Wisp.
Against the Bristle, though. So he'll get a lot of extra heal out of that. Up to 17 charges.
Do you still think it will be Bristle Wisp mid for sure? They're doing the lane shuffle here. I'm not actually sure how they're going to settle this down.
Can predict this? Looks like Super will be mid for sure, and he's got.
So they'll safe lane Bristle Wisp. 2-1-2 from Vici with the off lane Lesh.
He's surely going Sunstrike, right? I mean, normally you get Exhort. Maybe he's going Quaswex. I guess EMP is pretty good against LGD's team. Really good against Beastmaster, Morphling, Undying.
Yeah.
I guess it might be an EMP game, not a Sunstrike game.
Yeah, it looks
generally when you skill Quas level 1, you go Quaswex.
Yeah.
Else you take Exhort. So.
Although maybe he's just faking him out. You never know.
Yeah, who knows?
Next level strats.
So it is going to be Wisp Bristle bot versus the Undying and the Beastmasters. This is just going to be more of a typical use the Undying to help bully the offlane hero so that he can get more, because otherwise he would be potentially killed at level 1 repeatedly. So this is a bit better for them. And the top lane is a Quap with a Witch Doctor, which is a very good dual lane, and that's versus the Lesh Shadow Demon. So a lot safer for them. Whoever gets gone on, the other hero can counter-initiate. So it's pretty equal lanes here.
Yeah, the Morphling mid is very interesting, though. Morph versus Invoker. This is not a matchup that I'm super familiar with.
Morph's a
classic TI2.
Classic TI2.
Exactly. There was a lot of Morph mid then. And he's not a terrible mid hero, but Super's doing the right thing, which is bully bully Sylar because he has a much longer range. His damage isn't very high, but he can definitely pressure Sylar a lot. But getting comparable last hits is not always the easiest.
Yeah, it looks like Morphling doing pretty well, finding the CS under the tower, poking Super a little bit.
He's got a lot of CS, actually.
It looks like the other lanes are going pretty well for the Radiant, though. Bristleback picking up the CS in the bottom lane and doing a good job keeping Yao from getting too close to the creep wave. Only 2-1 himself, and you see Ice 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 staying very aggressive. Actually finds the last hit on the boar.
As long as he's getting experience, he's happy. He'd love to get last hits, obviously, but the important part is that he's getting levels. Ooh, denied double damage
Nice.
there. It's not that bad. I mean, it was just an undying, but it would have been nice to have.
It's a nice little play.
Denied.
It's like a psychological play, you know?
Yes.
So how on the Lesh? Oh, he started Juan first also. Guess thinking that might be the Undying there.
I mean, it's not a terrible thing to get anymore. Before you were spending money on a recipe, now you're just upgrading your stats. It's making some space, and that's not a big deal. 1 decay.
That's true.
Stun comes through. Great disruption. He should be fine, I guess.
Maybe not. He pops out. Hal taking a lot of damage here. Maladin comes through. They've got a lot of damage. He should die to the DOTs, but no, the Wisp saves him at least for now.
Twice.
2 DOTs still on him. It's not enough. First blood's drawn. MMY picks it up on the Witch Doctor. A noble effort from the Wisp.
Yeah, Wisp couldn't help him more than that because he didn't skill Overcharge. If he had Overcharge there on level 2, the Lesh wouldn't have died. He couldn't damage himself, so couldn't heal the Lesh in that situation. And makes me wonder, I don't know what he got the Spirits for.
It makes him better for killing.
Is he like
semi-jungling? He probably got it against the Beast, remember? Because he was against the Beastmaster, and it helps him zone the Beastmaster.
Yeah, that's probably why, yeah.
And then he shifted to the top lane, and unfortunately it wasn't enough.
Well, it is Quaspex Invoker for Super, so no Exort.
The EMP is really good this game. Beastmaster is a low mana pool. If he doesn't get Roth in a battle, his hero's terrible. And
it's really good against Morphling also, if he doesn't have mana to morph.
Like all those heroes, they almost have to get lots of mangoes or arcane boots maybe, because if the EMP lands well in a team fight, the team fight will be won, and VG Gaming will overrun them.
Queen of Pain as well. If she doesn't have a mana pool, if she can't
ult,
then it's not
the
so good.
Play.
Definitely not. Disruption comes out. Soul Catcher as well. Sylar in a lot of trouble. Hal hits the stun. EMP flies through, and now VG Gaming get on the board. Easy pickings on Sylar in the mid. A little aggressive on that one.
It's a really interesting rotation too. They have a dual lane off lane, and they both just left.
Yeah, with Hal as the leading farmer, you're right. That is pretty unexpected.
They probably should have noticed this, though, because they do have a lane ward. So, I mean, I feel like Sylar does have to go for those waveform harasses sometimes, because otherwise the Invoker's HP is always full and he feels comfortable hitting you. But maybe that was just a bit of unlucky time, but I feel like he should have noticed that the heroes were gone.
There's a couple of TPs here. They've brought the Undying to bottom again with Beastmaster. It's basically a mix of lanes again, with Ice 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 now being in the top lane. He's got the highest CS of the game and level 5, so if you consider how strong Bristleback usually is in the offlane, if he gets just a decent start, he's way stronger than that right now. And facing off against a Quap Witch Doctor lane that don't really kill him that easily, I feel. They'll harass him though, but he can still get farmed.
What build is MMY going for? I know he got the early point in Maledict, but is he leveling it up? No, well, only level 3. Oh, he's level 4. Did he take a point in stats, or is he just saving it? He's holding it, okay. Yeah. So, waiting to see if he needs the heal.
I think the extra cask levels are good here, because they don't have that many disables. They don't have to really deal summons, I guess, at least until Forge Spirits, so I think that's an okay build. Sometimes you want to go earlier Maledict if you're really worried about killing somebody, but I don't think they're going to kill the Bristle anyway, so I think defensive is a little bit safer here.
Well, Super having a pretty good time in the mid lane. Sylar was starting to take over, but since that kill, things have leveled out a bit. CS, very, very even.
And Invoker's he's got phase boots, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, he's doing great then.
So this is when, because in the start, Quaswex Invoker's biggest weakness in the beginning of the game is he has abysmal base damage. And the old school Ferrari build tries to compensate for that by getting Claws of Attack level 1 and then Tangos and Branches. I think Super this time did start with the Null, right? And got full Tangos.
And
so that's an alternative way of doing it. It delays your phase boots a bit more, but once you have them, you also have a Null. And the damage output he has in lane now, I think his base damage is still higher than Morphling's, even when he morphs quite a bit into agility. So he's probably going to win the lane now. That's very important for Vici too.
Yeah, his last hits are higher now too. Yeah, so
Queen of Pain is getting pretty good farm here. Maybe is the last hit leader at the moment. Ice 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 getting rather aggressive here, doing good damage. Cask will come in. Maledict connects as well. Now just turn on to MMY. He's got the Wisp to back him up. Heads up play from MMY to TP out, but it's not enough. Bristle gets the kill. Just too much damage.
Those early levels were so significant there. I mean, he casted a Quill and just walked up and hit maybe did 80 damage. Look at this. Every time he hits him, it's going to do so much. He actually does want to chase, but they lost the tether, and then they both changed their mind. So, EMP. Ooh, it does hit. That's such a big loss.
That really didn't look like a hit.
Yeah,
that must have been the absolute edge. You get mana on Invoker for whatever you EMP, and that's going to cost Siler 2 bottle charges just to get his mana back. And that's maybe what he doesn't even have a waveform yet. There, he barely gets it. It puts him in a really dangerous spot. If he does get ganked, he only has enough for a waveform and a bit of shifting, or vice versa.
So far, it feels like this Undying pick has been somewhat underwhelming. Vici have had just the better rotations and not really allowed the Undying to be the bully that he wants to at these early levels.
Yeah, it definitely hopes it's only a dual lane as well. There's a tomb to go down. Will he get 2 zombies?
Cask. Al still in trouble though, gets slowed down, hit by the Maledict. The damage is just too much, and Lesh will get put 6 feet under. MMY again getting that kill.
It's just enough slow. The important part was the 1 zombie and then the pig caught up and slowed him down, and then he was dead for sure. And again, Lesh, really squishy hero in the early game. Low armor, low HP, and the hard part is that usually you buy like Arcane Boots or Bottle first. You're investing all this money in your mana, but you still need HP. So Lesh definitely very vulnerable. Like look at that. He had to buy a Bracer first. He's got a wand to use on treads. Maybe on the wrong treads. He's on int right now, but.
And this seems to be the Lesh build right now. The 2-0-3, go for the Lightning primary. Any thoughts about versatility? Is Edict just a shell of its former self? Or is it the buffs to Lightning that have just made it kind of too good to pass up?
In this game in particular, Edict kind of sucks because if you wanna run into the enemy team, you're fighting into Tombstone, so your Edict's just gonna be wasted on zombies that don't even die to it anymore. There's summons from Beastmaster. There's just so much that tanks up the Edict. So if he wanted to skill Edict, it would be for the reason that he would be looking to push towers early, but they can't really siege towers that early. That's the main the main benefit of the skill is taking buildings. After all the buffs to Lightning, like you said, it's often going to be the better choice.
Yeah, it's again about the HP as well, like you said. Even regardless of the fact that they have good melee heroes that he doesn't want to fight into, he's still got low HP, and he needs to sit on range and cast his spells. The one skill you'd maybe get early is Pulse Nova because it does like 100 magic damage a second. Yeah. It's really value point early.
Very mana intensive.
But it's still dangerous to get that close. And a smoke from Vici Gaming. It looks like they're going to shift to the bot lane.
Ooh, smoke from LGD.
So this could be a 3v3 team fight, or it could be Hao just dying at the start. So it's all going to depend on the timing here.
The timing may work out in favor of the latter. He's going very far forward into the Secret shop. They're kind of baiting it out, actually. Now Secret comes around the backside. Primal Roar to get it started, but EMP possibly could connect on all 3, and it will. Say goodnight to your mana, LGD. They'll be on the back foot, but is the follow-up damage there? Tornado comes through. Xiao 8 will sidestep the stun. He'll be okay for now.
What was that disruption? Did you see that?
That was weird.
It was a weird disruption.
Especially since the EMP hit as well. It seemed like
they
were all safe.
I mean, he basically took all the damage already. Maybe he was trying to stop a Maledict tick or something, but I felt like that was a poor disruption.
Yeah, I mean, you had the Wisp there as well to tether and try and heal him up.
It kept him alive, but it lost their offensive potential. Unless I'm forgetting something. They roared, they axed. It was basically just Witch Doctor and Undying, so it's not like there was any more bursts coming. I
guess they don't know what level the Maledict is, so if that was the primary skill, then it is level 2 to be fair. So
I'm not so sure.
Here we go, Ice and maybe we'll duke it out a little bit. A TP coming in. Ice is all by his lonesome here. And in very deep. Does he have a TP scroll? He does, and he'll try to make it out successfully. Well done.
He baited a TP out of that, right?
Space created, yeah. Xiao 8 TP'd in.
That was.
I mean, ultimately he traded one himself, so I don't know. He had to TP back because of that play.
Yeah, but he was getting a lot of farm cutting the wave like that so far forward.
Yeah, it's probably a minor win there for Ice. He's gonna. The nice thing for him is that now he's off the map, and wherever the Bristleback goes right now, a fight can easily break out, or he can do exactly this. That's even better, actually.
Nice fatty ancient stack here.
Not sure why he's waiting with that.
Mech coming out on the Bristleback, and maybe seems to be rushing the Orchid here on the Queen of Pain.
So we got one Edict level instead of Pulse Nova. Just going to help him push, but makes him worse in the team fight, and they're going to go in.
Here we go. Smoke rotation from the backside. Tombstone comes down nice and early. That first zombie trying to chase down Hao as he makes it into the trees. They'll be cut down by the wild axes, and Hao in a lot of trouble here. Easy pickings on the Lash, and his teammates just can't keep him alive this go-around. Wisp still not level 6, so no defensive relocate.
That was smart movement from him. The right direction was the right way to run, but they just got a little too close there.
Yeah. Smoke caught him off guard. So nice gank, but Vici did, or pardon me, LGD did have to pay for it. Super
Okay.
will get a deny mid.
That's a lot of gold, actually, especially with the change. Towers are a bit easier to kill now. They're a slightly larger percentage of the net worth than
You mean it's a
just
lot of
farming.
gold denied, or that's a lot of gold going to LGD because of the deny?
It's a lot less gold. You get about half as much gold,
Right.
not to mention the last hit. It's a big deal, actually. Losing your mid tower is obviously really bad, but getting the... well, that's not going to get hit. So. Vici Gaming, Ice loses about 200 there from not getting the last hit, but at least they get the tower. So that opens up the map a lot as well. They have a lot of gank potential with the Shadow Demon and maybe the Lesh as well. Lesh is actually really good at farming neutral camps as well. So if he gets some kind of mana regen, they can even just sit in the jungle, wait for somebody to come top and get kills.
Mech recipe on the way here for Ice's Bristleback. Maybe he'll start to get involved in these team fights a little bit more. He's been pretty quiet, just farming away thus far. And also looks like the Invoker will be going for that Orchid pretty quickly here. I think he's got both robes. Yep. So Orchids aplenty this game. We'll see who can find the better timing.
Orchid really good against Quap, good against Morphling, and the more important part is that he'll probably do Ghost Walk ganks. He can easily solo kill the Witch Doctor, maybe not the Undying, but definitely Witch Doctor, maybe Quap as well. So it's going to get
maybe
dangerous.
solo kill the Morphling as well if he uses the Orchid properly.
Yeah, he has to do it before the morph starts. If the morph starts and you get silenced and you can't stop the morph, it just keeps going. So he's got to initiate with it. Can they grab the mid tower?
Let's see here. Well, Tornado will prevent it from being a deny, and it's Wisp that gets the last hit. And they burn some mana. Maybe. TP's in. Does some damage to FY. Puts out the dagger, but Cold Snap hurting the Quap won't be enough for a kill. Victory for Vici Gaming, though.
An important point booster. So 200 more HP going to Leshrac.
Dire's middle tower
He's
is
actually
under
gone the
attack.
non-greedy build. It's really all HP. We saw Sumail play Lesh yesterday. He went like Arcane Boots, Soul Ring, Yules before he bought any HP items. And How's still having a bad game in terms of how much he's getting ganked. He's farming okay, but he is getting ganked a lot.
Is under attack.
Could see a fight break out in the bottom lane here. LGD rotating their entire team. Vici starting to move down to defend this tower. Take a look at both teams' vision here. Limited on both sides of the coin. It is nighttime after all.
Lesh is so good at counter pushing with Lightning build. That's why you level it up. Just so good. It kills all the creeps. It only does about 265 damage, but it's a 4-second cooldown. The slow is helpful in team fights, but it's maybe not completely 260, sorry.
Yeah, it got slightly buffed. It was up from 0.75 to 1 second. Now it scales.
Yeah.
Minor buff.
It slows a little bit. It's not bad.
Just sometimes it's just enough to close that gap for the rest of your teammates. Ice. He'll find some initiation onto Xiaowei, throwing out that sticky goo, maybe. In the front lines, will blink back. The cast not going to find any bounces. Maladin comes out, but Xiaowei just gets dropped as he gets hit by the EMP. Now you're dead.
Great disruption.
Beautifully done. That resets the fight. Witch Doctor still doing damage on the backside, but his team is just getting cleaned up. Ice is tanking it. It's a 3-0 to get things started. Ice will TP out, and Hao will dive onto Yao.
Great
Split Earth
shoot.
does not connect. Yao playing a little ring around the rosy. He'll be okay on the other side of it. It's Sylar versus 2. Super just doing too much damage. He's trying to morph strength as best he can. He's got a waveform up now, but they want to bring down the replicate. And Sylar will live, it looks like. Super's here. EMP Tornado. Is this actually enough damage?
Oh, he got the drain. All right, he's got 6 wand charges.
Okay,
And he's going to TP.
TP home. Undying on his way over.
Oh.
There's no support for Super, and it will end as a 3-0. Still a great fight for Vici, though they don't get the entire team.
They can't kill the Bristle.
Super would have loved that.
They actually just can't kill the Bristle.
Well, they would have if there was no disruption. That's why that was so important.
Yeah, that's what the only thing Fenrir needs to do is to stand far back, let Ice just run in like that. They can tether him and start overcharging, and he just needs to wait for Roar. Whenever he feels like he can throw out a Demonic Purge, as long as he doesn't get caught, and then the moment the Roar comes out, you disrupt. The moment Ice got disrupted, the fight was actually lost.
Yeah.
And LGD needed to try to disengage as fast as possible, but they just got caught a lot by the Lightning Storm slows, and I think the Tornado actually didn't even catch anyone. I think
Yeah, it was,
after Undying
he was
died.
trying to one-shot the Undying
Yeah.
before Undying escaped. So
Yeah, MMY got almost a full duration Death Ward off, but it was only hitting that disrupted target, so he spent a while just standing there not doing any damage. So it was a different take to just kind of ignore the Witch Doctor and realize that they can tank through his damage. And now they get a big Ancient stack. You look at this Bristle, and he is pulling way ahead. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Soulcatcher comes out. EMP gets charged up. Sylar without any mana. He's in a lot of trouble, and they will slay the Morphling. Easy peasy for the Radiant
That
side.
was very well executed.
Yeah, it's perfect timing on the stun. It guaranteed that the EMP hit, and once the EMP hit, the hero's dead. Because Demonic Purge makes you slow. That was great. Really well done.
Ice and maybe up top, trading blows with one another. Queen of Pain will blink into the trees and TP home, and some tower exchanging happening here. Bottom tier 1 falls for Vici, and they'll try to pressure the tier 2 mid as best they can. How with only 1 point in the Edict. Limited pushing power. They've already forced out a Glyph. LGD starting to rotate. I think they will mount a defense here, and yep, there's a TP in.
I really like the build how it's going though. I can't say it enough. Too many players will just go heavy mana on Leshrac. Luckily, he can get away with that because they have a Wisp a bit, but you really need a lot of early stats to be tanky in the early game. You won't have as much mana uptime, especially if you're not in mid lane. If you're a safe lane, it's probably better to go for the stats.
So MMY, they know something's afoot here. Ghostwall coming down. They'll put a sentry on the ground straight away, but they just can't catch him.
He actually doesn't have his Orchid yet. I was like, something's going to die. Nope. Baits out the 100 gold.
There you go. Well, yeah, there's that synergy with the Wisp Lesh. Like you were talking about, this opens up for him to do a slightly different build with that mana sustain. Exactly. So there's some nice workability there. Pretty big lead for Vici Gaming, nearly 7,500 golden XP.
This Bristle's really a huge issue for them. I thought he was going to go Sanji and Yasha, to be honest, but he is up in front. The Vanguard will block a lot of the physical damage coming out of LGD. Blocks zombie hits. Blocks the boar hits, blocks everybody else's right clicks.
Do you think this will be a Glimmer Cape coming out here?
It blocks Death Ward too, doesn't it?
I think he will build...
it does not block Death Ward.
Not block Death Ward. Okay. No, you can't block ward damage.
Wards are their own thing.
I think...
Just Crimson, though.
I think he's going to get Crimson Guard and Pipe. I don't see why not. Like, you really tank up heavily on the Bristle and you get all the tank items for your team. It helps keep the Leshrac alive a hell of a lot that he can give it to everyone. And the meta game right now and how teams try to end the games with the buff to Pipe with the 10% magic resistance. Aura, it's not like quote-unquote useless when it's down anymore. The Crimson Guard, really, really good against Undying. Like, I don't know if LGD can actually... When those items are finished, I think Vici will probably try to find a pick-off, then get Roche, and then start sieging the base. It's actually that hard to fight. And it's funny to say that when the defending team has an Undying minute 20, but...
And the other problem is they can't even move around the map and gank, because then they have to worry about a relocate with Bristleback just chasing down whoever initiates. So it's difficult for them to find ganks. They're just waiting for the enemies to overextend. That's pretty much all they can do. But as long as Vici Gaming positions correctly and the Bristleback is the one being really aggressive with his tanky items, then it's very tough for them to get a fight off. Like, Quap can't even blink aggressively because she has to worry about relocate and the 5-second cooldown. She just might die.
Yeah, she will lose the Orchid race here, I think, quite obviously. One on the Invoker is just around the corner. He had about 650 gold when we last saw his inventory here. And yeah, I think he's got it coming out on the courier right now. Bottom tier 1 tower will go down. It gets denied. And Wisp does make it out of there.
He's probably dead. They find the spot.
I was wondering if Ice would TP home now and they would relocate back together.
I was wondering too, but...
Looks like they're trying just to...
That wasn't worth it for... Well, if he lives, it's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Tethers across the how. Whoa! Maybe drops the hammer.
That'll
secure it.
Perfect for LGD. That's exactly what they needed. They got a tower deny, so a lot less gold going to Vici Gaming, which means they don't have a gold advantage that'll snowball the end. And then also a hero kill. The Wisp was the most dangerous one. He's like the piece of the puzzle. You kill the Wisp, this piece the one out of position. It's just...
They're trying to bait this onto Sylar. Orchid is completed onto Super. They'll go in. He does get off the morph before the Orchid connects, but it just doesn't matter. They've got too much damage, and he can't morph fast enough. TP's coming in. Ice maybe in some trouble here. Another defensive disruption to try and set it up for Fenrir. Yao on his way in, trying to surround, but can't quite do it. The Wild Axes fly through. Fenrir will fall. It's a 1-for-1 roar onto Ice. Now MMY joining the party. Death Ward as the cask bounces back and forth. It gets interrupted, but Super falls. Lesh comes in for the cleanup. Looks like this may get leveled out as Ice gets blown up. A 2-for-3 trade. LGD finding the advantage.
That Necro at LGD was huge.
Okay, it is over. Tether will keep him safe.
It drained all of Ice's mana. He didn't even get to use his mech in that fight.
Yeah.
So he basically just tanked a bunch of damage, and then he killed himself on the Necro. Killing
I saw that big burst of damage. That was the melee Necro?
I assume it was, because it probably did
huge
damage.
Amount. Yeah.
Because he had like 500 HP left. It looked like his back was to everybody, and he must have cool sprayed to kill it.
Yep, I think you're right.
I think the Necro's a really good pickup here. The mana drain's very, very good against Bristle. Obviously, if Wisp was there, he would have had mana, and then maybe things would have been different. But that's the fight LGD needed. Gives him a bunch of net worth. The they still have their tier 2s, I guess, so it's not terrible, and they've also killed a mid and a bot tower.
Oh, here's your Orchid debut from Maybe. We'll go for a kill into FY and should find it with the Soul Burn, if not just some last or some auto attacks there. Easy pick off.
It's really well done.
I feel like that last team fight, though, the big breadwinner was definitely Hao. He was kind of at the tail end of the pack, and now he's number 2 behind just the Bristleback. He completed his Bloodstone off that successful fight. Now LGD seem like they want to move into the Roche pit. There are no Radiant Wards in the area, so they might be able to get this, actually.
Medallion on Xiaowei.
This is a very, very risky play, but I think it's one they kind of have to make. If they don't do this right now, Vici Gaming would be taking it for themselves, and because it's maybe an unlikely play, it's very possible Vici Gaming won't even consider this happening.
Yeah.
If they knew it was happening, they would have counterplayed that. So they get caught by surprise here, and they're too late.
They will smoke up, and perhaps Vici still want to fight even with the Aegis.
I feel like they could have won that, honestly.
Aegis on Undying.
If they just put the Tombstone on a high ground or something like that, they never would have killed the tomb, and it would have been hard to find it.
All right, we'll hold that thought about the Aegis, though, as the fight will break out in the mid. Disruption to get it started. Ice in the front lines. They get the silence onto Sylar. Orchid is there. Do they have the damage? Certainly so. No, the waveform barely keeps him alive. It's FY that goes down first from the Sonic Wave, but they will have to trade their Beastmaster. Maybe in very deep. Won't be able to make it back out. It's a 1-for-2 now with LGD on the back foot. Xiaowei with his back turn, trying to turn tail and run. It won't happen. Disruption to interrupt the Witch Doctor. Hao getting low, but MMY will fall first. It ends as a 2-for-4 trade. They cut through the Aegis as well as the second life on the Undying. What an explosive fight for Vici Gaming.
Man, they just have the best Morphling counters. Like, Morphling can't do anything in these
they
fights.
last picked it. That's the crazy thing. They
That's
actually
just
picked
instant
that
respawn there. I was like, wait, did he have the Aegis and Bloodstone charges, man? He completed the Bloodstone right before that fight,
Wait,
racked up all the kills, and then died.
Yeah.
So he's
Looks like he
back
just
at 8
bought it.
charges. Yeah, it's incredible.
But, I mean, what does the Morphling do? He gets disrupted into a stunned, and he's like, oh, I'm going to use a Ghost Scepter, and then they Demonic Purge him, and then he gets out of the fight. He's like, wow, all I did was take damage. But the rest of his teammates don't do enough damage for that. They'd have to get, like, a full Death Ward, but it's still a Bristleback. Like, it's going to be a while until Morphling's useful here. I think if he does go E-Blade first, then maybe one solution, because then he can maybe burst down either Wisp or Shadow Demon, but, like, it's going to be a long time until he's useful, I think.
So Aegis on the Undying. Any thoughts about... Was there a better choice there? I mean, maybe the Queen of Pain. I guess she's very cooldown reliant. You just put it on the Morphling so he can...
Maybe Morphling. That way he just waveforms in and auto-attacks like 6 times and then respawns.
At least
and has
gets
full
to do
mana.
something, yeah.
Because
It's so weird that it makes me feel like it was a misclick, that he didn't mean to take it. Like, Undying for me is not a good Aegis carrier. I
He's
get
pretty
the,
cooldown reliant also.
I mean, I get the idea that you can decay quite a few times and then you come back and you can decay again, but you have one Tombstone. You will cast
Exactly.
that before the Aegis. There's no point in not doing it and then coming back. And like you said, the Morphling, he could have actually participated in that fight with the Aegis, could have committed in, could have died, and then done something. The second life on Undying actually
it
did nothing. I feel
like, what do you can't throw another Tombstone.
and he's also a transformation hero. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like when you have an Aegis on Lycan, oh shit, I died in wolf form, you come out and you're just...
And he used his
Nothing.
ultimate
He
in
used Flesh
Roshan,
Golem
so
and
I
then-
don't even think he
Yeah.
had it
Yeah.
for the entire fight. So,
he didn't.
like, he's not going to be able to cast Decay multiple times. I think it was on level 3, but
That was a
that was
strange
definitely
pickup.
not the right hero.
Well, what little benefit LGD got from Roche is now evaporated. And you look at that net worth chart, and even though maybe's hanging in there, the disparity is growing for the top Vici cores. I don't think that gold graph is updated yet from the last
They
fight.
did get some gold from Roche at least, so it's like getting a tower.
It's not all bad.
And that's no Roche that Vici can take. If Vici had an Aegis on Bristleback,
That's true.
you just GG right there.
Yeah, I guess denying the Aegis from Bristle is almost more valuable than putting it on Undying.
Yeah.
Oh wow, he changed his plan.
So
He got sick of
that's
being
annoying.
mana burned in that one fight, so he sold his cloak and now he's going BKB.
Or is it
was
Sanj
really
and Yasha?
impactful.
I don't think it's SNY. Then I really disagree with it, because then what he would use the SNY for, I think just the Pipe Crimson Guard would be better. If he wants to like run around fights, the times when Bristleback really benefits from SNY are when he needs the move speed. But he's with a Wisp, right?
Right.
So just with a Tether alone, he will be maxed with 2 stacks of Warpath, and I feel like that would be a big waste. And especially, it also indicates, like when he sells the cloak, to me that indicates he wants a BKB. Because else he would have probably sold his wand probably, or dropped his wand.
There's really not much
maybe he
magic
needs the
damage
mana,
at
I
all
don't know.
anyways. It's like, what, Maledict and Quap Scream, that's pretty much it. There's very little magic damage on LGD, so I think the cloak was kind of a bad idea in the first place. If he wants to counter Maledict,
That's quite a
you
bit,
need-
right?
I think it was.
Scream, Decay, Soul Rip.
Decay does
Maledict.
very little. Decay is like mostly minus strength. It does like 160 at max level. It's very little.
Waveform, Adaptive Strike.
Okay,
Incoming E-Blade.
adaptive E-Blade is a good.
I don't know.
That is a lot of
Well,
magic,
he didn't
but-
have that at that time, right? So, but let me see.
It's
Is
still
that all?
a fairly value pickup, though. You sell it back for half the cost. 225 gold for that bit of magic mitigation. I mean, he was playing pretty aggressive
It's
early
actually
on.
one of the items that got the biggest buff in this patch.
Why?
It costs the same, but it went from 15% to 20.
Oh, it did go up. I
It's
forgot
actually
about that
really, really
completely.
good.
Yeah.
I forgot that it got buffed.
It's an incredible item, actually, for its cost. Like, in some games, it's almost imbalanced how good it is.
Yeah.
This is not one of those games where Cloak is just incredible, but
But I still feel like that's a 250 gold or 225 gold well spent. I mean, or 275, I guess.
yeah, 275.
275,
right?
yeah.
It's
But, I mean, do you disagree, Purge? Do you think that was a 275 gold wasted here?
You never want to buy items and sell them back, so it was a waste. Like,
Is
yeah,
that
okay.
a true statement? You never want to buy items and sell them back?
It depends. I don't know if there were 1 or 2 fights where he got value out of the Cloak, where he like survived and would have died. Because if it keeps him alive once, it's paid itself back, or more
true.
than paid itself
Right.
back.
I mean, I think there are certainly times when you can sell an item back and still find positive.
He had it for
expected
like
value.
less than 8 minutes. You know, what if you bought an Ogre Club instead? That
Yeah, then
gives you
maybe
190
Club.
HP.
That's true.
That's a good
almost
argument.
as much as the Cloak in the first place, and you don't lose value.
To me, it seemed like he simply just changed his plan. He was like,
Yeah.
I want to get Pipe, Crimson Guard, and Mech and just be an absolute teamfight monster. And then he experienced the mana burn and
Went the BKB.
Bristle definitely runs out of
I
item
didn't want
slots,
to
so
do that
it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Dire's top
Wand,
tower
Mech, and
is
Treads,
under
that's
attack.
3 item slots. Then you have a TP Scroll and a Vanguard, and you're like, I only have 1 spot left. And I've got to transition to the late game, guys. What do I do?
All right, so Super gets the tier 2 tower up top. Easy split pushing there. He's up to 2,500 gold now since the Orchid was picked up. Curious where he'll go next. And it is the BKB, so good call, Synd.
So you're talking about Invoker, right? What item?
Oh, well, he gets a Force Staff, so that answers it. But
So after that, probably Ags, I would guess. Cast more spells. Won't need to see a Midas. Maybe we'll see a Hex or something, but something to deal with Morphling. I think Hex is okay.
Axe on Invoker is a really interesting item because it's really game dependent compared to a lot of other heroes where it's like, my hero needs Axe. Like Witch Doctor, you almost can't imagine a Witch Doctor game where you wouldn't get Axe.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Invoker, I feel like Quaswex Invoker is a lot worse with Axe than Exort is. The Exort Quas.
like
Invoker.
Exort
so,
benefits from it a
really?
lot more.
It benefits a lot
Yeah.
more, and to me, it's because the extra array of spells that he can cast right now are actually not that impactful, right? So at this point in time, his cycling of spells in fights will either be Tornado EMP Deafening Blast or Tornado EMP Cold Snap. Those are like the combinations he will want to use. With an Axe, what he could invoke extra would be something like a Meteor with 1 point in Exort. That's garbage.
nothing.
Come on. What about like
Forge Spirits
Ice
are bad.
Wall?
Ice Wall is okay.
Like-
He could cycle in an Ice Wall. That to me is like the only. That would be the only real benefit for the Axe for me.
Alacrity as well. I mean, obviously that's not during a team fight, but
And it's also not that good with only Wex.
true.
It's kind of nice for Bristle.
Yeah,
I
it's
can
good on
I can
Bristle.
see that.
Radiant's top
It's.
tower is under
I mean, it's still good. I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's bad, but I feel like it's a lot better.
It's a lot more core on
Exort.
Exort
On
is what you're
Exort, it's
saying.
really, really good.
Would you maybe go Octarine Core instead if you're going Quaswex? So then you get lifesteal from. You have
From the
lower EMP
EMPs?
cooldown, which is actually pretty good.
That's interesting, actually. You can get mana and health back from EMP. That's
Yeah.
What's the cooldown on Invoke on the respective levels? It's like 5 on level 4, right? Without the eggs. So with Octarine Core, that's 3.75.
Yeah.
So that's almost the same as. That's 1.5 second extra than with the eggs.
and then you get a lot more other benefit. Yeah.
It is a possibility. I think generally the best thing he can get right now is just flat out utility items. If he has the micromanagement for it in this game, I don't think something like a Necro Book would be half bad. He could go for
I
that.
agree.
He could get aura buildups. He could actually get a BKB, which I also think is very nice on Quaswex, because it's all about just controlling and staying active in the fight.
Yeah. He does have to worry about cask bounces as well. That's
Yeah.
another thing. BKB will definitely stop that. Maybe you should buy the utility of damage and just buy a Daedalus. How about that? That actually, I feel
Deso,
like that
dude.
wouldn't be too bad as a third item for Invoker with this build. You could attack
He
really
needs some sort of
rapidly.
tankability, I think.
I feel like LGD are in a lot of
Hex would
trouble
be-
here.
I think Hex is the stable here. That's going to be my guess. All of the other solutions all sound cool and have their uses, but Hex is just like the stable. And
Yeah.
there's nothing that they really need here.
Ooh, Sylar could be in some trouble here. Super comes in. There's the Orchid. EMP as well. Hasn't started morphing, but the EMP will be off the mark, and Ghost Scepter will keep him safe from Ice 3.
Alright, so there's
as
the
the
E-Blade.
E-Blade comes out.
Now BKB got a lot better.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the BKB. It's so obvious now. You're like, oh, do I want to get one shot by the Morphling? No. I'm okay. You can Ghost Walk, I guess, to dodge it.
A lot of Ancients stacked up again for the Radiant side. I feel like LGD are in a lot of trouble here. They're behind by about 12k net worth, somewhere in that vicinity. It's 12 to 10 in hero kills, but very deceptive in this game. They're running out of access points, no outer towers remaining, and they've only taken 2 tier 1s of their own. I mean, what do you do at this point when you're LGD? Do you try to get aggressive with smokes? Do you sit back and farm? How do you start climbing that mountain of a deficit?
Kill Wisp at the start of the fight. Kite Bristleback and then win the fight if possible. They need a really good Death Ward, honestly. That's where most of their damage is coming from, especially with Morphling going E-Blade build.
Glimmer Cape on Wisp now as well.
That's going to make things a little harder. But they have a lot of single target bursts right now on LGD. Now they need to make sure that they get an Ags on the Witch Doctor, and then he can channel the full thing without getting interrupted, which is going to be so hard with Tornado in the game.
What level is Quap? 15, almost 16. So when she hits 16, she takes 3/4 of Wisp's health with an ult, even through Glimmer Cape, because it's pure damage. Okay? So I actually think killing the Wisp is going to be super easy if they find the opening. The Glimmer Cape is not going to prove to be a problem at all. It's going to be my guess here, but
BKB's coming.
The real issue is getting in there.
Yeah, Hal gets his now on the Goat Man. And Invoker with 2100 gold. If he wants BKB instead of the Hex next item, he's starting to close in, more than halfway there.
Yeah. Let's see if he makes his choice now. I don't know how much reliable gold he has. He probably doesn't want to use any reliable yet, so he could almost buy an ultimate orb now for free.
That's the problem with getting BKB. Like, you win team fights, but
I know what you mean, but it sounds so funny.
Yeah.
Well, Vici wanting to get aggressive here. They've got 5 heroes just charging up the mid lane. Ice picks up a plate mail right before this fight starts, so now he's got a huge bump in his armor. They force out the glyph right away. EMP Tornado on the Undying. That'll be the end of Xiao 8's mana. He gets Orchided, and Soulburn will finish him off, or at least Ice thinks it will. They get the kill. And now this tier 3 will be under siege.
Okay, he does have level 4 on adaptive at least, but it does very little damage, and they're just going to take the racks, I think.
I mean, this is a very easy siege here for Vici. It's a 4-on-5, no buyback for Xiao 8. He didn't get a tombstone down. Here we go. Maybe hops in. BKB's popped. Nice Sonic Wave. Connects on at least 2, but there's just no follow-up. Now Yao gets stunned up. He'll definitely fall. He's in the grave. It's now a 5v3 and easy siege for Vici. They can just sit back, reset a little bit. Okay damage from his blasting, but
that was a great try from LGD. The initiation was a bit unpredictable, the timing they went. I felt it was like, oh, they're going to let it go, and then they jumped in. But they didn't get the roar off on Super at the right time.
They didn't get it off at all.
Because they all backed up in time, then the Bristol used BKB, so you shouldn't roar on him. They needed to go on Super there. He was the only guy that didn't have a BKB. They did a lot of bursts to Lesh, at least. They got him low, but they had to kill somebody right at the start of the fight. That was the only way they're going to win that. So they lost to Rax, and they lost a bit more of a fight. So, I mean, the original problem was Xiao getting out of position. So you could blame him as well a bit, but
the problem that you have with killing the Lesh first in a fight is that the way they kill heroes is... Oh, wait a second. This is...
Xiao 8 in trouble again. Good. EMP will connect, but he has a Glimmer Cape this time.
So the problem they have with bursting the Lesh first is if they try to go for that and they do succeed, their burst abilities are AoE, right? They will use the Sonic Wave, they will probably use a waveform, etc. So they commit everything to killing a Lesh that has a Bloodstone, and then the rest of the team will actually be full. So if they manage, he will still be doing some damage probably if he has Edict and his ult running while they kill him. And it's not even a guaranteed one fight at that point. Like the rest of his team will be full, Bristleback will have all the time in the world, so will Invoker to cast all their spells off, and that's also assuming there's no defensive disruption. Like, there's just so many problems that LGD have to deal with in their draft right now that it seems like the fights they take are actually pretty good. It looks like they're getting run over, but they're doing the best they can.
Well, here we go.
Just too far behind.
Vici just continuing to tighten the noose here, and LGD spread around the map. I don't know if they're quite ready to defend this. Hal will push in the mid lane. Again, Ice just on the front lines. He's buffed up from the Medallion. No glyph for the Dire. They don't have too many options here. Getting a Tombstone and Roar off, though, certainly integral to making this happen. Cask bouncing around, but goes into the creeps. Unfortunate for LGD. Hal getting a little bit lucky there. Lotus continue to slow siege. Roar onto Ice Ice Ice, but his back is turned. Gets force stabbed, then defensively disrupted. Maybe hops out. Ultimate on 3. A lot of damage, but BKBs get popped, and he just gets turned around on. No buyback available for the Queen of Pain. Vici go right back to the high ground. A 5-on-4 tornado. Does clip Sylar. He'll take the Orchid, but MMY with a nice death ward. Was it enough to bring down Ice Ice Ice?
A
No!
disruption.
The disruption again! Morphling's already fallen. It's a disaster for the Dire side. How?
Oh my
Going in
God.
deep with a double kill. It's just MMY, and that's enough for a GG call. It's Vici Gaming taking game 1 of this best-of-3 series.
And they played that team fight so well. Their positioning was great. Whew. Like, Ice Ice Ace turned his back at the perfect time. If his face would have been forward, they could have won that fight, but turned it just in time. Quap goes on the back line, didn't have enough to burst anybody down. They all pop BKBs, and then the fight is over.
Yeah.
You know, How just chases everybody down, turning Pulse Nova on, watching him burn.
So much reset there. He got force stabbed, then instantly disrupted.
Yeah.
So he was even disrupted in a good position. Shadow Demon making some plays there.
I actually think that disruption wasn't even as crisp as it could have been. Because when the force, I don't know if was Fenrir the one with the force staff? No, because I think that's a little bit of miscommunication there.
Oh, you had a blink.
When Super force staffs him out, they need to wait with the disruption until the team catches up, because else
Yeah.
they're overlapping, right? They force
Yeah.
staff him out, and then they keep him in place when he's already kept in place by the roar. So the only thing the disruption does is stun a stun target, kind
The
of.
second one was really good.
That
though.
wasn't
It
even
definitely saved him.
even perfect. It was still super good, right? But yeah, the Shadow Demon performance from Fenrir, apart from that disruption, which I feel like was maybe unnecessary, he pretty much played a perfect game.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
All right. An exciting game 1. LGD and Vici not disappointing here. So after seeing that, are you still feeling good about your predictions, boys?
I don't
Did
even
I
remember
make
what
one?
I said.
Well, you didn't, but you...
What did I
actually
say?
don't remember what you
What did I
said. You
say?
said 2-1.
I think I
forget
said
which team
2-1
you chose.
Vici, I believe.
I know I said 2-0 Vici. That
Yeah.
was my prediction.
I would have said 2-0 Vici as well. It's easy to say now, but I would have.
All right, very good. So we will have a special guest joining us on the couch for the second game. I don't know who the full roster will be, but I hear there's a man without a tail on the premise, and I think he's ready to do some Dota casting. Are you ready for that, syndereN? Can you handle it this early in the morning?
I can handle the Danes.
You can. Oh, that's true. Danish brethren.
Yep.
Very good. Very exciting.
We're very
So-
small countries. We're all brethren.
So you all know each other. That's good. Glad it works out that way. So with that, folks, we're going to have a short break, and then game number 2 of our opening series today will get underway. This is LGD versus Vici. You're going to want to stick around.